Hi, this is Jeff Heaton. Welcome to Applications of Deep Neural Networks with Washington University. In this video, we're going to begin looking at tabular data. This is data that is not a computer image or audio or any really complicated data input that deep neural networks are particularly known for. Rather, this is data that looks like something coming from Microsoft Excel, where you've got columns and rows, and you're going to try to predict one of those columns based on the others. To put data like that into a deep neural network, usually each row is one input or one set of inputs to the input neurons of that neural network. The set of all of those numbers coming into the neural network, one row, is called a feature vector. All data that comes into the neural network needs to be in numeric form. In this video, we're going to see how to build that feature vector.
For the latest on my AI course and projects, click subscribe and the bell next to it to be notified of every new video.
For this example, we're going to see how to encode a feature vector. We're going to use the simple data set that we've seen before. I'll run that, and it shows you basically the makeup of this data set. We've already talked about this one before, but just quickly, it has some categoricals like job and area, so those need to go into dummy variables. And the value that you're trying to predict is for each of these individuals, what product did they buy, A, B, C, or D? I think it goes up to D. Now with this data set, to make it for a neural network, there's some things you need to consider. So the column that you seek, at least if you're doing classification, is the product. There's an ID column, which we have here. That's not useful to you, so you're going to get rid of that one. And then many of these fields are numeric and may not need further processing, but we'll see that's not entirely true. A neural network, two things you can do to numeric values that will really help the neural network. One is put them in consistent ranges. The fact that income is in a much bigger range, tens of thousands, versus age, which is under 100, that hurts the predictive power of the neural network. So getting those into consistent ranges will definitely help. I'll show you an example of that in a later video where we adjust just that and the predictive power goes up considerably. The other thing you can do is center these about 0. Now centering them about 0 doesn't help as much as the range, but it is useful to the neural network. There you want to have some negative values and some positive values, preferably about the same number of negative values as you do positive, so it's centered about 0. A quick way to do both of these is to use a z-score and encode those to the z-score, because the z-score is plus or minus the standard deviations from the mean. So we'll go ahead and calculate the dummy variables for, say, job. When we run this, we can see that we get all the dummies coming out here. Each row is one set of dummy variables. So you have 2,000 rows, so 2,000 rows in that original data set, and 33 dummies, because each of those, the job had 33 different job types. The next thing you're going to want to do is merge that into the data set so that you now have a data set with those dummy variables in there. We're also going to drop the job column. Axis is 1 in both of these because we're dealing with columns. And there you can see the dummy variables added to this. See where it's nice that we had job underbar in front of it is that prefix specified right here. Without that, we would have just PQ, PE just merged right into the data set, and it would be very hard to keep track that those actually came from the job. We put area in by similar means. Now we have both job and area. So this is great that we have that prefix, area and job. Otherwise, those two would kind of blend together a bit. Income. We do have some missing values for income. So we're going to extract the median from income and put that into the missing values. So now we have complete values for income. Now, ideally, you'd probably want to get a little fancier with this and have multiple medians. Maybe you would break the age, because income probably correlates to age. And you would break the age into multiple bands. You would calculate the median for each of those bands and then intelligently choose a median value to fill in the missing values where you were using that band to pick it. That gives you a more meaningful missing value. We can see that we have all of the columns in this data frame. And we can now get our X columns. We do that by getting the same columns that we had up here, but we're going to drop product, because product's what we're trying to predict. Two problems with including product. One is, if that's truly what you're trying to predict, then that would be target leak, and it would be trivial for your neural network to predict it. You'd probably get a perfect score on your neural network. Perfect score from the neural network. Not a perfect score from me, because you would be producing a useless neural network. If you're trying to predict which product the person bought, and you also tell the neural network which product the person bought, that's target leak. And the neural network can do that perfectly, because you've told it the answer already. And you want to drop ID, because ID is just a numerically increasing value, and it's not that useful. So here's the final set of the names of the individual values that go into the feature vector for X. Now we need to convert it into a Numpy array, because neural networks like numeric values to come in. We just put in that same X columns calculation that we do there. We get the actual Numpy matrix for X so that we have a number of rows equal to the size of the data set and a number of columns equal to the size of the feature vector. We're going to convert the product into dummies, and that's going to become the Y. We keep a list of the actual textual values of the products, product A, B, C. Since there's only one set of dummies, we don't put a prefix on this, so we don't do products A, products B, and so on. Then we get the matrix that is the Y values. So that is going to be a number of rows equal to the size of the data set and a number of columns equal to the products that we're classifying. We run this, and we run this so that we can see X and Y. X is very numeric, that's just what the neural network likes, and Y, you can see, is definitely dummy variables. And that is how you calculate the X and Y for a classification neural network. Make sure that for the classification neural network you're using categorical cross entropy and a softmax function. Now if there's only two categories, that's kind of a special case, and we'll see that in a later video for this module, that you'd use a binary type loss function. Now, if you are dealing with a regression X and Y, then you would make Y be the income values, and you would make X be just like it was previously. So you'd make sure that you were calculating the actual values for income and not making that dummy variables. So it's not really a matrix, it'd be kind of a large column matrix where you have one column and one row for every single value in the data set. Now also with income, if that were the target, be careful because some of the income values are missing. Usually if the column is your target and you have missing values in your target, often you drop those rows for training because you don't necessarily want to be training on these median incomes that you estimated for it. Thank you for watching this video on feature vector creation. Now that we have a feature vector, the next part is going to show you how to actually form a neural network around that, train it, and produce a prediction. This content changes often, so subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on this course and other topics in artificial intelligence.